everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna be talking about a series on Netflix that I binge watched a couple of days ago on a movie that I loved as a kid. And by loved, I mean I was terrified in the beginning and then I was forced to love it, but I love it nonetheless now. Trauma. Anyway, the movie I'm talking about in question, they did put the movie on there, is The Dark Crystal. And I love movies or shows or books where like they take a concept and they don't, like, it's just something completely new, and there aren't a lot of things that are out there like that are based on characters that aren't human. But I loved that movie as a kid. So I was sick one day. I was like 8. My mom's boyfriend at the time was taking care of me and I had the flu, and he basically put this movie on. He was like, this is such a great movie, and he was a model maker, so basically he did like figurines and like put them into contests. I've done a few of them when I was a kid. I was scared by this movie as a child, but I was also sick. And let me put it in this way, I was so sick to the point where every time I moved I had to throw up. I couldn't even go and change the movie, so I was like, I can't even get up, so I'm gonna be forced to watch this. Just personally, like, watching like these creatures just like basically walk around and have their own language and just like be themselves and not be humans is kind of like, it's so cool. It's like watching like animals in their natural habitat. Like, it's just so interesting to see. Anyway, so it's about these creatures. There are the Skeksis, which I'm gonna probably like put an image here. They're basically like these hybrid like bird type-esque creatures. They remind me of crows, and I believe there's 10 of them. And then there are also the mystics, and mystics, they kind of, they're like, they look like worm like armadillos is the best way I could describe them. Basically these two different beings are pretty much, they were one being and then they got split into two. They tell you that right off the beginning of the movie, that they came to this planet and they basically took over it, saying that we're gonna take care of your planet. There is this woman called Olgra. She's my favorite. Especially in the new series. She was like the protector of this planet and she's connected to it, and the planet's called Thra. There's a lot of like weird terminology. She is connected to this planet. They all have a soul, they all have essence, and they're all connected. Everything's connected to it. So she is basically Thra. So she's the protector of it. And anyway, so she wanted to broaden her intelligence of the world and she wanted to go see the stars, but like she couldn't leave Thra. These 10 beings came to this planet and basically gave her a gift. It was, I think it was like a stargazer. They were filling her with ideas of like the world and like, oh, this is what's out here. And so basically inspired her to want to go. And they're like, we'll give you this and you can go do your traveling or whatever, and in the meantime we'll just take care of your planet for you. These are complete strangers, and she didn't really know them. The other thing that's connected to Thra, and this is where the title comes into the play, where there's this crystal, and this crystal is the Dark Crystal. So basically it's like, it's kind of almost like the heart of Thra, pretty much. It's just everything. It's like all of the essence. Essence is a really big thing in this movie. So like it's all of like the souls of the whole entire planet into this crystal thing. And so like they're supposed to be the protectors of that, and that's what she was protecting, the heart of it. So they abuse it because they're just foreigners and they're just like, we want to know more about it. When they got there, they were fiddling with this crystal and basically broke it. They broke a shard off of it. And so what had ended up happening, I guess, somehow it caused them to split into two. So basically the Skeksis are evil and the mystics are the good side of them. So they're just basically split into two. So that's basically the whole premises. The rest of the story is where there are these other creatures called podlings, and they're basically people of the earth, pretty much. They're just basically like, they know the land and things like that. They have their own language, which is interesting. Every single animal in the weird creation of it has their own language. One race that was really close to Thra were these Gelfling, and basically what ended up happening was the Skeksis basically took over and they just wanted power and they wanted to live forever and this and this and this. So they kept fiddling with the crystal and they're basically turning themselves immortal even though they're not. The only way they could actually get to be immortal was if they took essence from the world. And the only way they can do that is if they really hooked up the creatures of Thra and make them look at the crystal, and the crystal gives them the essence so that they can live forever. It's a weird dynamic. but kind of like giving yourself up to the earth and then the earth gives you back, pretty much is what it's saying. One of the closest creatures to Thra that had the most essence were the Gelflings, so they ended up killing all of them. Like one Gelfling still alive and he's supposed to save the world. Jen was interesting. It's just that like some of the characters who were main characters, I didn't really truly like completely fall in love with them. And it's the other thing, like world building, like it's one movie and they world builded so much that there's so much you don't know about it. So that's what I really like about the TV show. And one of my favorite characters aside from Ugra was the Chancellor. And the other thing about the movie was that because they didn't explain so much of everything, as a kid I didn't know that the Skeksis each had a name. He's the one that always makes the odd sounds, and like there was just something about him that I loved. Now, moving on to the TV show. So the TV show is very, very good. Very, very well thought out. And I think that they world builded so much more than ever what could be with the original movie. I mean, the movie was good, but the show is just so pretty to look at. Oh my god, it's so perfect. The premise of this show is prior to the movie, and all of the characters are just really, really good. The main character, which I believe is Ren, I forget who plays him, but I love him. I kept hearing his voice and I was like, why does he sound familiar? This show, it gave me so many feels. Like, I didn't think that they were gonna kill off one of the love interests in the beginning. I didn't think that was gonna happen. See, here's the thing. When you've already watched the original movie and you know the premise of it, that like there's basically only 2 Gelfling that are alive and they're supposed to save the world, and then you come out with, you know, a TV show that comes out years, decades later actually, and the show is going to be based off of events prior to that. It's like, my mindset is like, I love these characters so much and I connect with them so much, but I know inevitably they are all going to die. It's like, no matter what they do, I know they're all gonna die. So it's like, I'm so angry because I'm like, I love it, but at the same time I'm like, I hate it because I'm gonna get emotionally attached to these characters, and no matter what happens and no matter what they do, they're all gonna die at the end of this. My favorite character so far is Dot. There's something about her character mold, like I think it's because her eyes are the biggest out of everybody else's and she has more expression out of everyone else. And then I forget what's his name, her little like friend who's a podling. I was happy they actually gave him some English words because I'm like, oh, you're gonna have like a little like podling follow you, like they speak a different language, how are we gonna understand what he's saying? And then his little spoon, oh my god, I feel so bad for him because he's in the friend zone. And like Ren's love interest, when she dies, oh my god, like that hurt me pretty badly. And then I was like, oh, they're gonna make Ren and Dot fall in love, and I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. And I thought he was gonna fall in love with the princess. I forget what's her name. There's like 3 princesses. The princess that we're following in the story, I thought they were gonna fall in love with each other. For some odd reason I thought that. And then her other sister, who's the warrior, that was emotional. I got sad with that one. Her mom, I got sad with that one too, but I kind of saw it coming. It's like, why are you gonna go face off a Skeksis? And I'm just like, why? But then again, they don't know. But at the same time, I was like, why would you do that? And then her other sister, her eldest sister, which here's the weird thing. So I feel like I'm gonna go off on a lot of weird tangents. The weird thing is like her eldest sister, she doesn't act like the eldest. I thought she was the middle child. I thought the warrior sister, I can't remember their names, I'm gonna put them up here somewhere, but the one who's the warrior, I thought she was the oldest because she seems like the most mature. The eldest, she just seems like such a child, like she just acts like the middle child. I understand what they were trying to go for, like she can never amount up to her mom and like everybody else is like better, and like her mom can never pay attention to her because she's gonna be the next mother Madra. The world building, like all of it was so good. I was like, oh, they each have their own group, and I'm like, that makes sense. And then like they explained about like certain cultures and like things like that, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then like just some of the animals that they were riding and things like that, I was like, oh my god, that's how they were created. They're basically like they're the Skeksis minions where they capture the Gelfling and other people, and I was like, oh my god, that's how they were created. And then I felt bad for like the 2 little like servants that had their mouths shut. Just seeing everything like play out, even because like there was another character that we really didn't get to see all that much in the movie, and it was the original emperor, and you see him in remake, and I'm like, oh, like I can't really imagine him being like a really evil character. The other thing is with the Skeksis, like I feel like they did them a really good job because like they even though they're not the same voice actors, their voices match the characters. Like I really like the way they went with them, and like just explain like little details. Like I forgot completely that the scientist had like didn't even have like another eye, that he had a robotic eye, and I was like, oh my god, you kept it the same. Now we know how that happened. And I was just like, that's so cool. Like everything that they did from like A to Z, they like really did plan certain things out. There were certain things that were a little bit bizarre though, that like don't totally make sense. Even the moment of what's her name's sister who turns evil, like I hate her so much, but I loved her so much. That's when you know you have a good second evil villain type of person, where they're so bad but they're so good at the same time. One of my other favorite characters, the Mystic and the Skeksis that were living together out in the wilderness, I forgot what it was called. The fact that like the Skeksis was just like telling him like, talk faster, we don't have all day. Like all of that was just hilarious, and I was just like, I feel you. But yeah, and I think it was also cool that they added new characters as well, because like they talked about in the movie that there were 10 of them, and then some of them passed away, so we know that a few of them are gonna die. But like you don't get to meet all of them because there's only so many of them that are still alive. And then in the remake, you get to see a majority of all the Skeksis and the Mystics. Honestly, in the movie, I think it was also the way they were talking where I couldn't understand which one was which. And like TV show, you understand that like, oh, there's a warrior, there's a scientist, an emperor, or like there's a bunch of different ones, and then even the Mystics have their own counterparts of them. Each world is so cool and unique in its own way. Like this is just really good. It's gonna, like, it kept making me cry because I was like, oh my god, it's so perfect. The moment that you're realizing that they're gonna, like, the Skeksis are gonna like figure out about like how to take essence, I was just like, oh my god, like no, I don't want to see it. I was like, don't look. One of the other things that I really did like, the fight scene, it was pretty good. Like it was cool to see how they died, because in the movie they did kind of show it, and I feel like just like little details like that, like when the Skeksis die they turn into ash. One thing that I truly really loved in the whole thing was one of my favorite characters. I loved seeing Algra come back. She was one of my favorites. I loved her. I feel like she's a little bit more relatable in the new series, was the fact that they added in a rock monster. He was one of my favorite characters too. I was so sad when they took him out. They were like, oh, we have to put him to sleep so that we could send him for another mission. And I was just like, oh no, like he was one of my favorite characters. I really liked him a lot. But honestly, like it's a really good show. I really liked it. There are a few things that are a little bit weird that they don't coincide with the movie and the TV show, because like in the movie, Algra kind of, when she meets the Skeksis, like she's completely surprised by them. The Skeksis are like, who is this? Basically, like when they see her, they're just like, who are you? And this is in the movie where like they don't know each other, which kind of makes sense because like she left before the Skeksis and the Mystics separated. So it's like she only knew them as the one entity. Whereas in the show, she is awake and she knows what's going on. And then the other thing that doesn't align up is that in the movie, you're told that Algra has been asleep the whole time. In the movie, she talks about like, you don't know about the Great Conjunction and this and this and this with Jen. Jen's like, I need a shard. And she's like, a shard? I have a bunch of shards, but I don't know what they're for. It's like, she has a bunch of shards and she says she doesn't know what they're for. She should know because she protected the crystal. So it's like that kind of weird correlation. It's like in the show, she knows who the Skeksis are. Right? She knows who they are, but in the movie, when she goes and meets them for the first time, her and the Skeksis are just like, who is this and why is she here? Like, what, who are you? And it kind of like, it makes it seem like, oh, like she never met them before. In the show, it's not like that. It's like she meets them and she knows who they are, which is also kind of weird. But like in reality, if she had just woken up, she wouldn't really know who they are. There's a lot of names. There were a few names that I couldn't even pronounce. Like I remember Algra being her name, and then when I heard it again recently, I was like, that's how you pronounce it? I didn't know the Skeksis had another set of arms. But like overall, it's pretty good. I really like the visuals. All of it is very pretty to look at. It's really nice. Just the animation and stuff like that goes into it as well. Here's the thing, when I was watching it, when I got up to like episode 5, I think it's so good to the point where like I was watching it and I completely forgot that I was watching puppets. That's how good it was. I have a feeling other people might say that like, no, the movie was really bad and it was weird. I really liked it. It was a good TV show. There's 10 episodes on Netflix and I loved every single one of them. And I hope it has more seasons to come because it is so good. I really liked it, and I would recommend anybody to watch the TV show and the movie. If you guys liked this video, please subscribe, comment anything down below, say anything like that you liked about the show or any other shows that I should do reviews on. I want to do more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see all you guys in the next one. Bye.